practices with Rose Partners and their auditors. Good morning, Ronald.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Good to have you in studio this morning. And such a situation, on a day like this, everyone, left, right, center, is thinking about the budget. I'll spare you the pain of telling us what your thoughts about the State of the Nation address was last week. But the budget, okay, it's 48 trillion shillings. And how much, first of all, okay, to begin with, why does a nation need a budget? And how does that apply to us, the people of down here?
Yeah, thank you. Your question is right. Why? Why does a nation need a budget? Like a nation, let us start with your home. If you need to run your home pretty well, you need to know the costs.
Yes.
The costs that you meet as a home, and then your projected income. Okay. If you think that your projected income, let's say salary for the salary earners,
yes,
would help you run the home for a month, 2 months, and 12 months. Okay. Then you need to think about the costs. Yeah. So then how do you think about the cost? The cost starts with a budget. You need to know that I've got to transport myself to the place of work. I've got to live, both life and livelihood. I've got to move on. Then I have my stakeholders. Your immediate stakeholders are your housemates and the family. So if you don't plan for them, for the immediate stakeholders, you're bound to fail. So, like the government, the immediate stakeholders are the citizens of Uganda. The citizens of Uganda need services. These services, we cannot just wake up in the morning and say, okay, what do you need? For me, I need to take my children to school. Here's the money. What do you need? I need hospitals. This is the money. The government has got to be seen to be, orderly.
To plan,
yeah. To plan. So they come up with a budget.
Okay.
Yeah, a forecast of how you're going to run in one financial year to another financial year. Yeah. Okay. What are you going to spend on as a government? And then where are you going to get that money to spend on? Yeah, so you come up with a budget.
Just to put the picture out there, two things. So even if people do not write down that, we are running on this budget, that budget, in their mind they have a structure of how much comes in, what goes
out.
Yes.
Yeah, and what is the saving? For the personal, at a personal level, it is a saving.
Yes.
But for the government, it is what we have to spend on. Okay. Against what we have to collect. The presumption is there should always be a match, and it should
always be
equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we should tell us whether for us it's equal for us. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Now, very interestingly, as we know, the budget currently stands at 48.1 trillion Uganda shillings.
Yeah.
A very, very interesting figure, that one. Could you're really the expert that we called in to speak into this. Could you just kindly break down for us in studio and also for the person who's listening in, which sectors have been allocated the biggest share of the budget?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, a 48.103 trillion budget. As slightly, let me tell you the genesis. It has just increased by 3 trillion from the 44.7 last year. That's around a 7% increase.
Okay.
Yeah, the 48.1 budget is broken down into the following.
Okay.
The human capital development, is taking 18% of
That is
of the budget.
So that is under human capital. What do we have?
You have your education, you have your health, yeah, so things that are close now to the human, and that is 18%, which is 8.7 trillion. You have governance and security, which is 15%. That is around 7 trillion.
That is, do you see, is that a reduction from the usual? Because when you say governance and security, usually there are those unclassified budgets, but it's like,
yeah, we shall not go into any unclassified thing because I don't want anything to do with politics. But when you compare, with last year,
it has come down.
No, it has slightly increased. Because last year that component had 6.9 trillion. Yeah, transport and infrastructure in this financial year is 4.177, which is 9% of the 48. Agro-industrialization, it is 1.27, which is 3%.
That's still little.
Yeah, agriculture. Regional development is 1.19, which is 2%. Sustainable energy development, 1.6 at 3%. Development plan implementation is 1.2.
Yes.
And then we have the debt financing or debt payment.
So so as a country, we have
exactly exactly
to pay off that interest.
Yes. Yeah. So you should be knowing that our debt is now 73 plus trillion.
And bigger than our budget.
Bigger than our budget. But just to break down this budget for you further, on what are we going to do on the 73? Probably it shouldn't rise above that, or this is the initiative that we are going to do, the debt payment. We have domestic financing. Those are the
people we borrowed from
within, from
the industries.
Yes. From within. Usually that comprises of treasury bonds and treasury bills. Of course, government borrows through that. That is 7.4 trillion. We have interest payments on the loan. That is standing at 6 trillion. That's what we provided for. We have external debt repayment, around 2.4 trillion.
The ones who are
from outside. Then domestic arrears. Arrears, it means those the accumulated.
The ones where we have not been paid.
Yes, accumulated debt of 6.9 trillion, which is around 14% of the 48. So a total, so that makes up a total of 48.1. Then how are we going to finance this?
Yes.
Now,
how
just
are we going to get this money? Yes.
I'm going to ask you to just pause on that one, on how we are going to finance it, because we need to just go for a very short breather. But before we do that, this hour is proudly brought to you by the good people at MTN. A kind reminder from them that you can now vimba with MTN Kabode Super as you pay Mpola Mpola for the latest smartphone from MTN. Pay a small deposit of just 99,000 Uganda shillings and the balance Mpola Mpola in daily, weekly or monthly installments. It does come with 2 GB free every month for 7 months. You can visit any MTN shop or Banana Phone World outlets and you'll be able to buy the MTN Kabode Super easy. Everywhere you go, MTN terms and conditions do apply. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
That our expenses should not go beyond the incomes. Okay, you be a thug. All right. And as we talk about this budget, we've broken down different budgets, different components of the budget for the 48.1 trillion. So we have governance and okay, first of all, we had the one taking the biggest chunk,
Human capital development.
Development, that is health,
education.
health and education, which is important.
Mm.
Then we had governance and security.
Yeah.
Under that, of course, you have security, plus then you also have
Public administration.
public admin.
Yeah.
That means our civil servants, salaries, rent, facilitation, all of those things. Yeah, those ones so increased theirs recently, but anyway, let's first go away from there. Then you moved into, which was the next there?
The transport and infrastructure.
Transport and infrastructure.
Yeah. The agro.
The agro, the agro.
Agro-industrialization.
Okay.
Regional development.
Oh, yes.
Sustainable energy development. And the development plan implementation.
Okay. So we are on the NDP. We're on NDP what? 3, 4?
NDP 3.
We are
National
NDP 3.
Development Plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. NDP 3. That's where we are at. Then we got into now financing our loans. We got into sorting out our loans.
Yes.
Yes. We said the domestic
Domestic financing. The interest payment.
Okay.
The external debt repayment. And then domestic arrears.
Okay. Domestic arrears. Okay. Which totals up to
48.1
trillion. Now, the question is, how are we going to collect this money? What percentage is there? Because I think we are still borrowing.
Yeah.
We are still borrowing. Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. When you see what we have put in place to finance,
Okay.
we are ready now with at least 73% of the finance to the 48 trillion, and it's broken down through tax revenue collection, which is 25.7. That's the target they have given.
So we want to get of the 48 trillion.
Yes.
We want to get 25.7 trillion.
Yes.
Through taxes.
Through taxes.
Your taxes, my taxes.
Exactly. The money as grants, we expect 2.1 trillion.
So that is from 25, that's 27.
Yes. And then the domestic borrowings, still through
that's the treasury bills
and the bonds.
Yes.
That is 7.1 trillion. So a total of 34.9 trillion.
Just, yes.
Yeah, that is what the envelope, the resource envelope.
The resource should give us about 38.1.
34.9.
34.9.
Yes. And then
Leaves us
with a deficit, of which is expected borrowings of around 13 trillion. 13.2 trillion. Yeah. 13.2 trillion. The previous year we had actually 10.4 trillion.
We are actually borrowing more.
More.
Yeah, we are borrowing more
this
financial year. Yeah.
Wow. And in this budget, wow, and we are borrowing 13 trillion. Now the reality is coming. Okay. In this budget, they said they are not introducing new taxes. Right? And so we are going to stay the same, which is a positive thing for considering that we've gone through COVID-19. Yes. So my big question with the breakdown that we have had, does this budget speak into the life of an individual, or we are just doing this ceremoniously, out of ceremony? Yes.
Yeah. If I got you well. You want to see the impacts of this budget to the wananchi.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much for the question. With all due honesty, the wananchi have gotten to tighten their belts. Because the current economic turbulence is not predominantly from within, but rather from without, as clearly indicated in the recent monetary policy statement of June 2022, which highlighted the following risk exposures. The surge in energy and food prices, along with the supply and trade disruptions triggered by the war in Ukraine, and the necessary interest rate normalization now underway, account for most of the downgrade. This Russia-Ukraine conflict continues to strain the supply chain and unstock international commodity prices.
So basically, the war in Russia is really hitting us bad.
Yeah.
It is hitting us bad. Of course, when it had just started, no one anticipated. Thought it's an European war. Then the rest of the world should go on with their business,
Right.
which is not the case. We are operating a global village, and since the players are the biggest suppliers of energy and food to even to some to some African countries like Sudan and what they are feeding on wheat, the Egypt wheat, and then for us it is fuel.
Yes.
So you
Someone
cannot
who was
say
complaining about chapati and Rolex.
exactly.
Is an address.
Yes, so that one is likely the chapati itself is likely to reduce in size or to
the amount to
Increase in
to
price.
go up, increase in price. So I don't know what they'll do.
So basically, we agree with the president when he said, "We cannot do anything about it. It is external pressure and stress coming."
Oh, I cannot agree with that 100%. Many countries have done some interventions. Of course, not reducing taxes, but of course subsidizing. Some have come to subsidize. Some have reserves, which are reserves. By now they are empty. So
Oh my.
yeah, now they are empty. So we don't have any reserves, and now we are basing on the industry players. But countries have made interventions into this. It shouldn't be a do nothing kind of thing.
We are waiting for the world to.
So I was still talking
yes,
about
please
the
do.
wananchi. So for many countries like ours, recession will be hard to avoid, with the supply of natural gas constrained, especially for the fertilizer and electricity grids in the poorer countries.
Yes, Ronnie, if I may interject, when you say recession is hard to avoid, what do you mean when you say recession?
Okay, recession, or one can say stagflation. For
our tax automatic.
you see this for the wananchi.
Yes.
Okay, for anyone
In
to
simple
understand
terms,
this. A situation where the inflation rate is high, just like now it has been raised.
Where a situation like in Zimbabwe, where our currency is.
Yes.
And the prices are very high. The commodities are high.
Yes, exactly. And then where the economic growth slows and unemployment levels go up. So that is seemingly a recession.
No jobs.
No jobs.
You need to have a bucket of money to buy just one particular thing.
Exactly.
And then those things are hard to find.
Yep.
That is now a state of recession.
Okay,
Thank you. Yes, we may now.
Okay, thank you so much. We do still have Ronnie in studio. If you do have any questions, go ahead and send us an SMS or a WhatsApp 0753-104-104, or our phone lines are open. Alternatively, give us a call 0414-34-2020. We will be back. Excited, exhilarated, very concerned about
Excited
today. Yeah, why not?
They are unhappy. You are worried. This is like banana. The president has kept on telling us there is nothing I can do.
Yeah. But either way, we will have to find out what the fate of the economy is.
Yes.
And so today, the Minister of Finance will be reading the national budget. 48.1 trillion shillings is up for allocation. And as we've seen, we have how much to be borrowed? 13 trillion to borrow, which is up from the 10 trillion we borrowed last year. Yeah, so we are actually borrowing more, and I hope this can give you just a little bit of an inkling of where our economy is going. They say the aeroplane was woo, but it seems the sound is now different. Yeah.
So if you're a big boy, you can lend Uganda some money. But make sure I don't deal with issues the way we are dealing with Simba properties. We don't want that one. For us, it will be clear and to the point. But Ronald, you've put down, yes, there are tough situations, there are tough economic situations that we are at, and there are other things that are dictating, the amount of the budget that we have and the state of the economy where we are at. Yeah. I would like to find out, okay, because in the Daily Monitor this morning, it talks about higher interest rates loom as banks face more bad loans. Okay, that means the central bank lending rate it has moved from 6.5% to 7.5%. That means that the amount that you're using or the rate that you're borrowing at has increased. So servicing your loan is going to be higher. Banks also have to make a cut of that, and so it's going to be costly, which adds insult to injury. Okay, where is the hope that we have as a country? Yeah, and just before you answer that,
Parfum, good morning. Yes, Ray. Hello?
Sorry, we had that. Okay, yes, where does that fall?
All right, thank you very much. The hope of the country is to go back to the basics. When we go back to the basics, of course, we shall have to go back to agriculture, which we have always mentioned as the backbone.
Which is third or fourth in the pecking order of.
But when it comes to financing, we obviously don't prioritize it that much.
Okay.
Well, as we've observed, and many proponents have put it, that agriculture is the backbone of Africa. Yes, it is true. This particular aspect has seemingly been underfunded. But it also depends on how African economies, particularly Uganda, perceive this analogy.
Okay.
His Excellency, retired General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has always condemned substance agriculture, Ikida Chonka, and advocated for commercial farming. We would like the technocrats and policymakers to embrace this ideology and work towards achieving agriculture mechanization.
Yes.
To boost the yield, and agricultural industrialization, as it is advocated in the budget.
Yeah.
Of course, for value addition, because the two effectively complement each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. The issue of border economy is not going to save Uganda. And yeah.
For buying borders.
Exactly.
On loan, meanwhile.
Yeah, we should practice initiatives like back to the land policy. I mean, let the border people go back to the field too.
You've sold there.
They sold the land to come here. And
I
so
think.
sell the border to buy land.
Exactly.
it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, but with time, I think they've started realizing that, and many are going back to the villages. To try to resolve.
So basically, we have to tighten our belts.
Exactly.
Number one,
reduce
on our expenses. Enjoyment leads to what?
Unemployment.
And brokenness.
Exactly.
Yeah. So cut out your enjoyment. But I would like you to talk about essential goods. That what ought or what can the government do about essential goods?
The government would have come in with the subsidization of the same, because most of the essentials right now that we're using are probably imported. Yeah, so we expect import subsidization, if it can be done, for the prices here not to skyrocket. If the government can come in with that intervention, the wananchi will be at least relieved.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, and also work on, for example, our factories here. We have some essentials like soap, cooking oil. Yeah, subsidize those for the meantime. At least for the soap and oil prices, cooking oil prices to go down. Yeah, because in the end you're looking at the life and livelihood. If you miss out on that, then probably you're not working for us. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's 4 minutes to 9 a.m. And I can tell you, I went to Chikubo, the place. Yeah, usually prices are understandable, but I found toilet paper, the one that has I think 10, was at 17.75. So I was like, you people, your prices are too high. They are not different from the ones outside there. So I didn't buy. I took my head to the places around my home. Didn't I find it at 19, 20K? Instead of 70K, I held my head. I was like, Mama, you know, and so for you, I don't know whether you're feeling the pinch, okay? Fuel is now at 6,500. I know there is a petrol station that is still at 5, 6 something. Yeah,
But for
somewhere,
how long?
5, 7, yeah. But for how long? Really?
Yeah.
The other one is at almost 7K. Big boys in the country. And so the fact is, prices are increasing. And of course, schools are increasing their tuition because they need to make sure that your kids receive the right services. Everything is basically going up. As an accountant, and you're speaking to a friend of yours whom you just like to take one point and say, this is the one point I am giving you, at least go away with today. Because yes, the budget is going to be read, but what we are facing today is the issue of increased prices. What would be your message to that individual?
Well, the message to the individual is still we have to plead to our policymakers here, because all the intervention into whatever turbulence that is happening now in the economy should be addressed from the top. Okay, the policymakers must counter the spike in oil and food prices. It is essential to boost the supply of key food and energy commodities. Markets are forward-looking, so even mere announcements of future supply would help to reduce the prices and inflation expectations. All countries should buttress social safety nets and avoid export and import restrictions that magnify price increases.
So we're going back to our government leaders and saying, if you can plead for us, the private sector together with the government leaders, I mean, with our people, you know, just the people whom we owe to lessen the restrictions and calm things down, so that we can be able to get up.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
The other day you saw the president of the AU. Of course, I cannot call it swallow the pride. They went to Putin to plead to him. Of course, please, and also Putin told them, I mean, I don't have the control of what is happening to you.
It is the other people who are not allowing, the ones who are fueling.
That have not tightened on anything. The things are flowing. So.
But it is the other people who are placing sanctions.
Exactly. So I want to assume that the EU president probably represented the presidents on the African continent.
I hope so, yes.
To raise that call. But of course, for us here, we shall not look at Putin directly. For us, we look at the president and the policymakers here to try to echo our voices on the looming prices.
Wow. Well, I would like to. We've come to the end of the hour. I would like to say a big thank you to you, Ronald. For giving us your time and just ably just dissecting this budget and seeing where we fall.